Hello guys. Welcome back. Thanks for showing interest in the video tutorials on www.logicvoltage.com. This is the second tutorial on the video tutorial series, on interfacing LCD, with STM32F4Discovery board. In this series we are learning how we can interface a LCD, and display on it using STM32F4Discovery board. You can check out the website www.logicvoltage.com. In the website there are many other STM32F4Discovery video tutorials. You can watch them and learn. You can even check out the video store at the website. It has some good tutorial series there with very less price. Lot of peoples are buying it. You can also buy them and learn some very awesome things about embedded programming. You can even get in touch with us also. Just go to Contact Us page and fill up the form, and we will reply. You can even check out the forum also. For any tutorial related query or any technical questions, just create a new topic in an appropriate forum and write your questions and doubts. And we will reply you there so that other people can also see the comments and what discussion is going on. Thanks. Okay, so this is the circuit that we have built in the previous tutorial. If you remember, I have shown you one table also in the previous tutorial, where all the microcontroller pins are mentioned, and connected to which LCD pins. So on the basis of that table we have connected and built this circuit. Now in this complete video series, we have to write a lot of codes. The circuit is already built, and we don't have to do anything on the circuit now. Except when we have completely written the code, then we will run the code on the discovery board, and see the output on the LCD. But till then, in the next few tutorials we will write the code for this circuit. There is one more thing that I should tell you before, that as I already said earlier that this is a bit advanced tutorial. If you haven't gone through with my previous STM32F4Discovery tutorials, then I would recommend you to watch them before continue further, or you may not understand everything here. And one more thing to tell, that, in this video series we will be doing a lot of code writing. And some code logics will not be very easy to understand if you don't have any programming skills. You should have at least a small amount of C programming skills before you can understand this video series properly. I would try to make you understand everything as detailed as possible, but still in this series we will be doing a lot of complex code writing, so not everything can be explained line by line. So in case in some part you don't understand anything, then I would recommend you to watch the video few times, and then try to understand. In case if you still find any difficulty, then you can contact us, and ask your questions and doubts, and we will surely help you. Okay, so now we have built the circuit, so we can start writing the code. Okay, so here we have Untitled Chapter Studio opened. From here we will write the code and run it on the discovery board. So let's first create a new project. Let's name this project LCD. Okay, so now our project is created. If you do not understand what I have done here to create a new project, then I would suggest you to please go through with my previous STM32F4Discovery tutorials from our website or from our YouTube channel. Okay, so next step is correct the clock settings. Okay, so now our clock settings are correct. Now our discovery board will run on 168 MHz. Let's delete these comments. We don't need them. Delete these unnecessary lines of code also. We don't need them also. Okay, so now our initial configurations are done. Now we can start writing the code. So the first thing that we will do is configure and initialize the pins which we have connected to LCD. If you remember, we have connected many FSMC pins from discovery board to LCD. So we need to first configure and initialize them, so that they work in alternate function mode, that is FSMC. So let's start. So what we will do here is we will actually create a new C file. And we will write all our pins configuration code on that new file. And then from this main.c file we will call the functions and codes written on that new C file. Okay, so let's first create a new file named lcd.c. Okay, so now our file is created. In this lcd.c file we will actually write a function, and write all the pins configuration code. And then that function will be called from the main.c file. Now you must be wondering that why we are doing this. Why not write all the code in the main.c file? Well, we can do that. But as I already said, that we will write a lot of code. And writing them on a single file can be difficult and complex. Such type of code writing is very difficult to understand and manage. So it's better to create new files, and write code on the basis of their use and functionality. That's why we are creating new file here. Okay, so let's create a function named lcd_pins configuration. Now this is a function in which we will write all our code to initialize the microcontroller pins. First include the header file from STM library. Okay, so now we will configure the pins. First declare GPIO structure. Then enable the clock of port D. Now next is configure the Pd7 pin first. Pd7 pin is connected to CS pin on the LCD. And we have to keep the CS pin in low state. Hence first put the Pd7 pin in low state. Let's do that. Now you can see that in these lines we are actually making the Pd7 pin in low state. Now next is enable the clock for FSMC peripheral. Let's do that. Now next is put all the necessary pins in alternate function mode for FSMC. We have total 10 pins from port D, which needs to be put in alternate function mode. Let's do that. So you can see that we have put the pin 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14 and 15 from port D, in alternate function mode for FSMC. Now we have to initialize these pins also in alternate function mode. Let's do that. Okay, so now all our pins of port D are properly configured and initialized. But we are still not complete here. If you remember the table that we have shown you in the previous tutorial, then you have seen that we have many pins from port E also, that are part of FSMC configuration, and are connected to LCD. So we will have to do same thing for port E pins also, that is put them in alternate function mode. Okay, so let's do that. First enable the clock for port E. Then put them all in alternate function mode. And then initialize them. Okay, so now all the pins are in alternate function mode for FSMC peripheral. Now we are done with the GPIO configurations of the pins. Now what we can do is, we can call this function from the main.c file. Actually, let's not call this function right now. What we can do is, we can define a new function here in this lcd.c file, and that function will call this function. And that new function will be called from the main.c file. We are doing this because we have to write few more lines of code to configure and initialize the FSMC peripheral. And we will write all those lines of code in that new function. If you got confused from what I just said, then don't worry. When we will start writing the next function from next tutorial, then you will understand. Okay, so now in this tutorial, we have created a new project and started writing the code. We have configured and initialized the GPIO pins for FSMC. We have created a new file so that we can write code in a better way, so that it can be easily understood. From the next tutorial we will go further into more technical things and understand how FSMC works and how we will display something on LCD. Once again, this is from www.logicvoltage.com, and thanks for watching. Bye.